To all the ladies in the place with style and grace, allow me to lace these lyrical douches in your bushes. Every Saturday, rap attack Mr. Magic Marley Marl. I let my tape rock till my tape pop. Oh shit!
In the bustling heart of New York, during the hip-hop explosion of the 1990s, two figures stood as titans, Puff Daddy and the Notorious B.I.G. While the city vibrated with their beats and verses, the lights that surrounded them hid darker shadows. This is a story of friendship, ambition, and the tragic betrayal that would mark the fate of two legends. Sean Combs, known as Puff Daddy, had begun his career as a concert promoter. With his charisma and vision, he quickly rose through the music world, founding Bad Boy Records. His talent for identifying and promoting artists led him to recruit Christopher Wallace, known as Biggie. The connection was instantaneous. Biggie, with his unmatched flow and raw lyrics, became the face of the label. Success came in the form of albums and hits, with Biggie's Ready to Die revolutionizing the music scene. Puff Daddy, always by his side, enjoyed the fame and excess. But as the glare of the lights intensified, so did the tensions. Competition with the West Coast, especially Death Row Records and its star rapper Tupac Shakur, was beginning to brew in a hostile environment. The relationship between Puff and Biggie became more complex. Both were aware that success attracted not only admirers, but also enemies. Amidst the rivalry, there was an air of distrust, although they still tried to maintain unity. However, one tragic event changed everything: the Tupac shooting in 1994. Biggie and Puff became embroiled in rumors of complicity, though the reality was more confusing. Soon after, the relationship between Puff and Biggie became strained. Industry pressure, media demands, and a growing feud with the West Coast began to affect their bond. Puff, feeling that his position was threatened, began to distrust Biggie. Party nights turned into arguments, and the festive atmosphere became heavy. On March 9, 1997, the hip-hop world came to a halt. The Notorious B.I.G. was killed in a shooting in Los Angeles. The news spread like wildfire, and the crime scene became a symbol of the violence that plagued the genre. Puff Daddy, devastated, made a public statement full of grief, but inside him, a storm of feelings consumed him. In the days following the murder, rumors of Puff's involvement in Biggie's death began to circulate. Conspiracy theories flourished, fueled by his growing distrust and rivalry with West Coast. Puff, rather than disavowing, plunged into obscurity. Guilt and fear surrounded him. Had it been his overweening ambition that led his friend to his tragic end? Meanwhile, the city was still talking. The streets whispered about a broken pact, about how the pursuit of power had clouded Puff's judgment. As tributes were paid to Biggie, his figure stood as a hip-hop martyr, while Puff felt increasingly isolated. The pressure was overwhelming. The music industry was beginning to look at Puff with suspicion. Puff Daddy's life changed drastically. Instead of being seen as a leader, he became the target of accusations. He tried to continue his career, releasing new artists and producing hits. But the weight of Biggie's loss followed him like a shadow. Days turned into nights filled with anxieties, and guilt slowly devoured him. On a reflective night, Puff was in his study, surrounded by memories. The walls were adorned with pictures of Biggie, moments that seemed so long ago. In his mind, a conversation kept repeating, loyalty above all else. But had he failed? The question haunted him. Over time, the search for the truth about Biggie's death became an obsession for Puff. He decided to investigate on his own, convinced that there was something else behind the violence. He began gathering information, talking to people close to Biggie, and unearthing old secrets. The search led him to discover unsuspected connections, but also plunged him into a world of danger and betrayal. As the truth unraveled, Puff realized that many of those around him were not who they said they were. Old friends became enemies, and the circle of trust he had maintained was crumbling. Along the way, he discovered that rivalry existed not only between him and other SEALs, but also within his own house. One night at a clandestine meeting, he ran into a figure from the past, someone who had been part of his close circle. The conversation turned to Biggie, and suddenly the words turned to accusations. Puff felt the air become thick, and in a moment of anger, he revealed his suspicions of betrayal. The confrontation escalated, and a fight broke out that ended with the figure disappearing into the darkness. After that night, Puff realized that ambition and betrayal were two sides of the same coin. Biggie's death had left him scarred, and his search for redemption became his only salvation. Music, his refuge, became a means to heal old wounds. Years later, Puff Daddy released an album in tribute to Biggie. Each song was a testament to their friendship, his pain, and the betrayal he had faced.